Factsverse presents the insider scoop of the hit TV series The Rifleman. During the 1950s and 60s, TV was still pretty new. It was an exciting addition in many homes. People loved to watch their favorite characters. During this time, Westerns were very popular. Americans loved rugged, brave cowboys, and that's why the series The Rifleman was such a huge success. The show was set in a small town in New Mexico territory, and it focused around Lucas McCain, played by Chuck Connors. He was a rancher back in the 1870s and the 1880s when ranching was really dangerous. His wife had died, he was raising his son Mark on his own. John Crawford played his son Mark. The show aired for 5 seasons, and it was the longest that a show had ever been on the air at the time. Today, older generations will still watch the show because of the nostalgia of watching The Rifleman during their childhood. If you were a fan of the show as a kid, or maybe you've seen reruns as an adult, you might think you know everything there is to know about The Rifleman. Well, here's the insider scoop of the hit TV series The Rifleman. These are all those secrets about what happened on and off-screen, and you're going to learn some pretty interesting secrets you probably don't know about the show. Before we get into it, though, jump down to the comments and let us know what is your favorite old black-and-white TV show of all time. Tell us in the comments. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Lucas McCain was the Rifleman, however, he almost wasn't. When Chuck Connors was offered the role, he turned it down at first. The producers weren't offering him the salary that he wanted, so they considered offering the role to John Anderson as well as James Whitmore. It wasn't long, though, before they realized they really wanted Chuck Connors for the role. In 1957, Chuck Connors starred in the Disney box office hit Old Yeller. His acting impressed the producers. His great acting on screen and his charisma made them see how talented the guy was. That wasn't the only reason the producers were determined to get him to play the part, though. They really changed their minds when they saw how well he worked with children. When child actors Tommy Kirk and Kevin Corcoran starred with Chuck, they realized that he got along great with kids. Because he'd be playing a father on The Rifleman, they knew he would be perfect for the part. The producers were determined to change Chuck's mind. Based on the back-end information and the historical references in the show, it was set in the 1870s and 1880s. The model gun that McCain carried on the show was a modified 1892 Winchester rifle with a large ring lever that allowed him to spin the handgun expertly, but based on when the show was taking place, this model of rifle hadn't been made yet. This left gun and history buffs kind of annoyed by the historical inaccuracy. The TV show Gunsmoke almost took the storyline of the pilot of The Rifleman. Writer and director Sam Peckinpah wrote the script for the pilot of Gunsmoke 3 years earlier. The pilot was turned down, though. However, it was not thrown out. Sam decided to change the script a little bit, including the character's lead name. He changed it from John McCain to Lucas McCain. He also created a son character for the show, and those changes became The Rifleman. It took more than changing the names and the script a bit to put The Rifleman into production, though. Producer Arnold Lavin, he wanted to add some emotional drama to the story, and that's why Lucas McCain was a single parent, a widower. That turned out to be a pretty smart decision. In 2004, TV Guide created their list of the 50 greatest TV dads of all time, and Lucas McCain ranked in at number 32 for his strong yet soft character. To keep everyone happy and to create a strong fan base, the writers knew they needed to have more on the show than just gunfights and action. They wanted to add a little romance to the plot, and many actresses starred on the show as one of Lucas's love interests. The list is very long. Some of the more memorable characters were Amanda Ames, Julie Adams, Patricia Blair, Patricia Berry, Catherine Bard, Ellen Corby, Sherry Jackson, and Joan Taylor. Of all of Lucas's love interests, the one fans seemed to like the most was Joan Taylor. The producers and the network, they never gave a reason for canceling the show. Many people believe it was because the actor who played the son on the show, Johnny Crawford, was just getting too old. He was no longer a cute little boy, and that changed the dynamic of the show. Others believe that a slight drop in ratings was the reason. When Johnny was asked why he thought the show was canceled, He says that he felt the show was just getting stale, the scripts weren't as good as they had been in the previous seasons. He believes that Season 1 was the best, and he didn't mind too much that the show had ended. After 5 years on the same show playing the same character, he was ready to move on to something new. The producers wanted to bring more female fans to the show when it was on the air, so they wanted to show that Lucas was capable of settling down, and that was when they brought on the character of Millie Scott. She was written as a strong and independent woman who purchased the local general store with her inheritance, and when the two got together on screen, the fans loved it. Lucas McCain was not your average Western gunslinger. On the show, his accuracy was 99.99% when shooting and hitting his target. Pretty good. The show's not meant to mimic real life, of course, because most cowboys back then were not nearly that good of a shot. Lucas could hit any target regardless of the hand that he was using. Even after swapping hands while shooting, he never missed his mark. On the show, Lucas was seen smoking a cigarette once in a while. In real life, Chuck Connors was a heavy smoker. On average, he would smoke 60 cigarettes a day. Not 16, 60. That equals 3 packs. Back in the 50s, smoking wasn't viewed as negatively as it is today. Many people were surprised that the producers didn't make Lucas, the character, a heavy smoker like the man who was playing him. Sadly, Chuck Connors died at the age of 71 from lung cancer. The rifle that was used in the show is a valuable piece of Hollywood history. Arnold Lavin, the Rifleman's producer, said that Connors used the same famous rifle in the show that John Wayne used in the legendary film Stagecoach. During the opening credits of the show, the gun is fired 12 times. It's said to be an 1892 4440 Winchester model rifle. Many people were confused by that claim. On the show, Lucas McCain had a plainsman friend played by Michael Ansara. He only appeared in 2 episodes of the show, but his talent didn't go unnoticed. Not long after he appeared on The Rifleman, he was given his own show. In 1956, he landed the lead in Law of the Plainsman. Today, we see a lot of types of families on TV. Back in the days of The Rifleman, though, most shows had a mother, a father, and children. That's it. Lucas McCain, however, was a widower, and he was the first single parent ever on American television. That added a depth to the show that others during that time didn't have. Sam Peckinpah created the scripts, and he managed to make the relationship between father and son very realistic, as well as interesting and touching. Before Chuck landed the role of the Rifleman, Chuck Connors was an athlete. In 1946, he was a member of the first Boston Celtics basketball team. There, he made a name for himself. He was the first professional basketball player to shatter the backboard during a game. When he left basketball, he didn't give up on sports. Growing up, he loved the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he made the team after leaving the Boston Celtics. Later, he went on to play first base for the Chicago Cubs in 1951. Then, he moved on to play for the Chicago Bears. When he landed the role on The Rifleman, he was a great shot thanks to his natural hand-eye coordination and his practice in sports. Before Dennis Hopper starred in Easy Rider, he starred in the premiere episode of The Rifleman called The Sharpshooter. Later, he returned to the show for a small, unrelated role to his first appearance. The episode was called Three-Legged Terror, and Dennis Hopper went completely unrecognized by fans. They didn't remember him as being the man in the first episode. After showing what he could do on screen, he was offered the role of a motorcycle rider on Easy Rider. Dennis Hopper wasn't the only actor to star in 2 different episodes playing 2 completely different characters. Paul Fix had the small role of Marshal Micah Torrance. He also starred in the episode The Sharpshooter as a doctor. Later, he landed a role in the pilot episode of Star Trek titled Where No Man Has Gone Before. He played Dr. Mark Piper. He was later replaced by actor DeForest Kelley. The way the episodes were aired, Paul actually starred in Episode 3. Sammy Davis Jr., the famous Rat Pack member, he was extremely famous at the time that The Rifleman was on the air, and that led him to landing a role on the show. He played the nasty Tip Corey in one episode, and then he returned to play Wade Randall. The episodes that Sammy can be seen in are titled 2 Ounces of Tin and The Most Amazing Man. It should come as no surprise that these were 2 of the highest-rated episodes. When Lucas, being a single father, became such a popular show plot, other shows began to follow suit. The Bachelor Father, starring John Forsythe, was a single dad. Later in the 60s and 70s, Diane Carroll played a single parent in Julia. And then the Brady Bunch starred a divorced woman meeting a widower, creating TV's first blended family. The relationship between father and son was such a success, other shows followed suit with that as well. The show's creator actually grew up on a ranch. He understood the physical and mental strength required to live and work in nature with animals. When Sam Peckinpah was writing the script, he used his experience to create the characters and the stories. He left the show after the first season so that he could move on to film and writing the scripts for Straw Dogs and The Wild Bunch. When Johnny Crawford landed the role of Lucas's beloved son in The Rifleman, he was only 12 years old. When the show ended, he became one of the original members of the Mouseketeers. Because of his age, he was cut after the first year, though. That didn't end his career. Soon he landed roles in Little Boy Lost and The Lone Ranger, among others. After that, the roles just kept on coming. A star was born. Johnny grew up being a teen idol, like many 50s television stars. He also had a great voice, which landed him a singing career. And in the 60s, 5 of his songs hit the top 40. His most well-known song was Cindy's Birthday. The song hit number 8 in the 1962 Billboard's Hot 100 list. All of that thanks to his role on The Rifleman. Johnny Crawford was ready to leave his celebrity behind when he enlisted in the United States Army. He was in the military for 2 years and he reached the rank of sergeant. Thanks to his work on camera, though, he was able to help direct the Army's training videos. After leaving the military, he landed a role as a soldier on another big TV show, Hawaii Five-0. Subscribe for more!